Hey everyone, welcome back. This week I have been living with this 2023 Dodge Hornet GT Plus. And in this video I'm going to be giving you my impressions on what it's been like to live with over the week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This is finished in Acapulco Gold. It's an optional paint color. It's very unique. Not my cup of tea, but some of you guys might like it and enjoy it. It does have the Blacktop Package, which gives the blacked out look, the black emblems. It does have the track pack as well, which has these 4-piston Brembo front brakes. It gives an adaptive dual mode suspension as well, and some interior bits. And it also has the tech package, which we'll get into later. These 20-inch wheels look super nice. It does have Michelin Pilot all seasons on it, which is a pretty nice wheel and tire combo, but you do not really have much sidewall there, which leads into a pretty rough ride, but we'll get into that later. Let's go ahead and check out the back seat here. This is a compact SUV from Dodge, so it is a little bit tight when you get back here, but I'm 6 foot. The driver's seat is adjusted to my position, and I have about an inch of leg room back here just sitting. You do get a couple of vents back here, a USB port and a USB-C port, a couple map pockets, as well as a pull-down center armrest, the couple cup holders, and a place to put your phone, I think. It does have a pass-through as well for some skis if you want to take this thing skiing. Pretty nice place to be back here. It is a little bit raised above the driver. You do get a little bit of a stadium seating in here, and it's pretty darn comfortable back here. Headroom back here is actually not too terrible for the compact SUV type. I have about an inch of headroom. You're not slammed up against the ceiling that bad, but it does feel kind of claustrophobic and cramped. You do get a very nice dash up there. We'll get into that when we get up front. And we do got this sunroof Pro Max situation up here going on here. It's kind of like I have a half panoramic sunroof, lets in a ton of light. Not too bad at all. Let's go ahead and check out the trunk. Do get a power lift gate with a cargo shade here. Decent amount of space. There's, you can fit a few groceries back here, but there's not a ton of room. I would like to see a little bit more. You do have these like fender wells kind of limiting your space here a little bit. You do not get a spare tire under here, but you do get some space to store whatever you want. I'm sure you could retrofit a donut or something back here if you wanted to. Do get a 12-volt outlet over here, and it's illuminated on both sides, which is nice to see. The seats do fold down to reveal a little bit more cargo room as well, but it is a little bit tiny. Let's go ahead and fire this thing up and check out what's under the hood. So under the hood here is Dodge's new Hurricane 4-cylinder. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Makes about 268 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, and it gets about 21 city and 29 highway. I'll get into the overview of what this has been like when we drive it, but that is what's under here. This does have a pretty aggressive front end. This is based on the Alfa Romeo Tonale platform. I drove an Alfa Romeo Tonale about 6 months ago, and I'll kind of compare and contrast as we get into the drive here, but it's the same, it's pretty much the same thing. So as we open up into the driver's seat here, you do get 3 memory positions for these driver's seats. This does have a 14-speaker Harman Kardon premium audio system that sounds amazing that we'll test. The track pack adds these wonderful seats that are super comfortable. We've been really comfortable on this over the past week. They are power as well on both sides, and really no complaints there at all. So like the Alfa Romeo Tonale, it's pretty much the exact same layout in here. Just the start button that was here got put here, and the sport button is pushed where the start button used to be. So pretty familiar cabin. You do get a digital gauge cluster and a digital infotainment as well. Works pretty well. It is a little bit laggy on certain aspects. I'd like to see a little bit faster, but it's not the worst, but it's certainly not the best. It does have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto that is wireless as well, and does have a reverse camera that is not very good as well. It's nice to see a surround view, but watch when I actually use it, it's like 15 FPS. You know, doesn't have the best refresh rate at all. Dual zone climate controls. You know, you got these nice vents here. Limited use of gloss blast plastic, which is nice to see. You have a wireless phone charger as well as a button to turn off your stop start. You do get your gear selector here, volume control, parking brake, traction control off, and stability control off, parking sensors off. A couple cup holders down here, as well as a small center console. And over here you do get a decent sized glove box. It's illuminated as well. You get illuminated visor mirrors as well. Nice auto dimming mirror. Headroom and the driver's seat is extremely limited. I'm 6 foot, as I mentioned before, and my head with this hat is got about that much headroom, less than a ½ inch. And this is with the seat slammed on the ground. If you're a taller person, you're going to be kind of doing one of these things driving, because just slammed against the roof. It's not the most spacious cabin for tall people, and if you're one of those people that like to sit high, this is not the car for you. As far as design goes, I really like the design of this cabin. It looks cool, but one thing really bothers me. Top here, if you sit where I'm sitting, it's not level at all. I think this should be like raised up and level and then slope down, but for some reason it's just like sloped down. It looks weird, drives me up a wall. I'm like, what in the world? Every time I look at it, I'm like, what is going on? Who designed that? But overall, it's very comfortable. We have enjoyed our time driving in this for several hours, and never needed to really get out and stretch for whatever reason, because it was too uncomfortable. So over here on the left here, you do get your adaptive cruise control. This does have the tech package, which gets the advanced adaptive cruise control with highway driving assist and some other features as well. And over here on the right is where you can control your infotainment and the center stack here. You also do get a couple gauge display modes by just clicking this button on the side here. Pretty neat. I like leaving it on that. This has automatic wipers too. I believe all the trims on the Dodge Hornet have wipers, automatic automatic headlights as well. One thing I did forget to mention is these seats are heated as well as the steering wheel. These seats get baking hot. They are like, they nearly burn you. If they're so hot. And the steering wheel is also heated as well, but for some reason the heating elements are like right down here and up here. When you hold it at 10 and 2 or 9 and 3, it doesn't really get warm there, which kind of defeats the purpose of a heated steering wheel in my opinion, but it does have it. Buckle up here and go ahead and take this thing for a spin. That reverse camera is quite a bummer. As tested, this thing cost about $45,000, which is absolutely insane to me for a compact SUV. And we'll kind of get into that as we drive along here and I give my impressions on it. But this is made to compete with things like the Kia Sportage, Volkswagen Tiguan, what else is out there? The Mazda CX-50, and I think it's a little too small for that. I think it would be more so like the, I don't know, Volkswagen Taos. As 2-liter Hurricane 4 is very peppy. It is very quick. Hence the Hornet name. It definitely packs a punch, but it is a little bit buzzy. Kind of sounds like a sewing machine or a weed eater or something like that. I would have liked a little bit different exhaust note, because it's not really pleasing. And the 9-speed transmission is a little bit jerky and not really too quick to downshift, but it's better than a CVT, I will say that. But just keep that in mind if you're looking to buy one of these, that it's not the smoothest transmission out there, and likes to kind of hunt for gears. It's very unique. We're kind of going, someone mentioned on an Instagram reel I posted on this thing that we're kind of approaching Fast and Furious levels with gears here. And that's kind of what it feels like when this thing's, at wide open throttle. It's just constantly shifting. Now, as far as ride goes, this is really stiff. It's overly stiff and not very enjoyable to drive in for longer periods. As far as ride comfort, every expansion joint, every bump on the road, you feel through every bone in your body. It's pretty rough. does handle reasonably well for this class of SUV. It's not the best handling. I would say probably a Mazda CX-30 or 50 would handle better than this, but it does handle pretty well. This does have the adaptive 2-mode suspension. When you put it in sport mode over here, it will stiffen up the suspension, which in my opinion doesn't need stiffening up anymore because it already beats you to death, and allows you to get better handling if you should so desire that. I mean, yeah, over some of those expansion joints and stuff, my wife went on a trip with me this weekend up to Lake Erie, and it's just, she's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty rough. Dodge, you got to kind of think about who's going to buy this car. They don't really, in my opinion, I don't really think that the targeted buyer of this vehicle is going to want that overly stiff of a suspension. I get they want to be sporty, and this is going to, be the replacement muscle car, but it's just a bit too much, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and put it in sport mode here. Pretty decent power out of this. Pretty decent handling on that corner. Front end does like to push like all these compact SUVs do. But reasonable amount of power. Shifts pretty quick in sport mode. Go ahead and engage the highway driving assist by clicking the cruise control mode and set, and steering. It does take a second. This system is kind of basic. It does take a second for it to figure out if it's in the center of the lane. And like right now, it's not working at all. There it goes. Now it's green. And it's just kind of a basic system, pretty hands-on system. Doesn't allow you to take your hands off the wheel for an extended period of time, but it does offer that degree of assistance if you should so desire that. It's not the best is what I'm trying to say, but it's definitely not the worst I've used either. Now let's go ahead and do a quick stereo test of this 14-speaker Harman Kardon system. Track here. Pretty good stereo system. I would say it's probably the highlight of this vehicle. Probably one of the better ones that I've tested. As you heard back there, the road noise on the highway is pretty loud. This isn't a quiet vehicle on the road by any means. The one thing I will say, these brakes are interesting. I do not find them to be very confidence inspiring. This car has 9,500 miles on it, and it's a press car, so I don't know what's been, how this thing's been treated, but these brakes do not inspire confidence at all. I feel like I need to just keep pushing them down before I get a decent amount of performance out of them. And for them being, four-piston Brembo front calipers and brakes, it leaves a little bit to be desired in the braking department there. Visibility is okay out of this. You do get blind spot monitoring. You do get a pretty thick pillar, here and here as well. So it's kind of hard to see pedestrians. I do find visibility out the front a little bit lacking due to these massive pillars here. It kind of feels like I'm looking through a VR headset, the way it kind of just circles around. It does have traffic sign recognition as well, and you can enable it to where if you have your cruise control on, it will automatically adjust the speed to the speed limit sign, which is pretty cool. It can also be pretty dangerous too, because when it matches that speed limit sign, it'll just jam the brakes for you until it reaches that new speed limit. But you can turn it off in the settings, and it's just kind of a cool feature. Looks like it's going to be a sun visor kind of the rest of the trip. This thing does have a pretty decent amount of low-end torque. Does take premium fuel as well, recommended. Fuel economy, I've been averaging about 26.6 since I've got this car. I filled it up once. And when we get around this curve here, I'll pull up the trip computer. Since I last filled it up, I get 26.6 actually, and since I've got it, I've gotten 26.6. So it's not the most fuel efficient vehicle out there, but it is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and put this into sport mode and do a quick 0 to 60. Give it a little bit of boost and floor it. Just bang shifts those gears. This 9-speed, when you put it in sport mode, it just bang shifts it. I'd say probably around 6 seconds would be that 0 to 60. I really wish it had paddle shifters as well. That's a kind of a big miss here for something like have a track pack car, but with no paddle shifters. Kind of takes away from the driving experience just a little bit. I think they have it on the RT, if I'm not mistaken, but you just get the manual shiftability down here, but it's a big miss. As far as interior quality, I'm not sure if that's picking it up through the headset here, but there's a lot of squeaks and rattles from the sunroof and just plastics all around this vehicle. You constantly hear squeaks and rattles. It's faded out by the nice stereo system in here, but it just doesn't feel well put together. I believe it to be a part of those 20-inch wheels just knocking you around and just loosening everything, because you get beat to death in this thing. Now, compared to the Alfa Romeo Tonale that I drove about, I think, 6 months ago now, it's the same car, but not. I don't know. This just feels... I liked the Alfa Romeo Tonale a lot, but this just feels not as well put together. And I think they're made in... These are both made in Italy, but just feels unfinished and unrefined, unfortunately. I have faith that Dodge will improve this product. This is what they're going to have to, but this just doesn't feel finished. It feels like a pre-production vehicle, if I'm being completely honest with you. There's things that could be improved, like the squeaks and rattles on here. The suspension definitely needs a better tuning, because even after like every bump that I'm on, it just feels all over the road. You can barely drive this thing with one hand, because if you hit a bump, you're just constantly fighting this thing to keep it straight. There's that. There's the engine note. I'm not sure what they could do about that. but it is properly quick. All right, guys, I think that will do it on the 2023 Dodge Hornet GT Plus review. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Paul's Place YT for some additional content and behind the scenes. Got some more stuff coming. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment as well. Definitely helps the algorithm on YouTube push this video out to other people so they can see it. So if you could be sure to do that, that'd be great. Subscribe too if you'd like to see more content, and we'll go ahead and see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.